today. The world leaders are meeting to raise an estimated 300 million euros for the more than 11 million East Africans affected by famine and drought. But delivering aid to the affected regions, as we hear in this report, is being hampered by frequent attacks on aid workers by the Al-Shabaab Islamist group.
The UN's Food and Agriculture Organization held emergency talks on Monday over famine in the Horn of Africa brought on by severe drought. FAO Director General Jacques Diouf said urgent aid is needed to save over 11 million people from starvation.
We have invited you today to take part in this emergency meeting so that we may take immediate measures to stop one of the world's most serious humanitarian disasters.
The FAO estimates that 300 million euros will be necessary in the next 2 months and over $1 billion in the course of the next year. For now, the UN has only received half of what is necessary to avoid a humanitarian disaster. The FAO says the international community must act now.
The combined effects of drought, inflation, and conflicts have created a disastrous situation.
The UN has declared famine in 2 areas of Somalia, but the Islamist Al-Shabaab that controls parts of the country has banned many foreign aid agencies.
Al-Shabaab's blockade of humanitarian and aid agencies' access to the needy, vast majority of them in the insurgent-held areas, may starve to death.
The current drought affecting the Horn of Africa is the worst in 60 years. A donor conference is scheduled for Wednesday in Nairobi.
As Norway observed 1 minute silence to honor those killed in its worst peacetime atrocity allegedly committed by a 32-year-old man. Investigators are looking at what prompted the suspect Anders Breivik to commit mass murder. This report also takes a closer look at a 1,500-page manifesto purportedly written by the suspect.
This is how the man accused of being Norway's most notorious mass killer apparently wants the world to know him. A smiling Norwegian nationalist, a serious military-style marksman. Not just the cold-blooded killer, police say stalked and gunned down innocent young victims on a remote rocky island. Anders Behring Breivik is believed to have posted these images to YouTube in a 12-minute video embedded in a 1,500-page manifesto, just hours before he began his deadly killing spree with a massive car bombing outside government offices. CNN cannot independently verify their authenticity. Together, the video and manifesto appear to answer how and why the 32-year-old became a mass murderer. The video reveals an intense fear that Muslims will dominate Europe, an anger at what the author calls Marxist European governments he blames for doing nothing, and a belief that a Christian crusade is the solution. A belief he hid when he met this mainstream right-wing politician 8 years ago.
I am actually sorry because he didn't, because if he had said something like that, maybe we could have discovered it.
Kalmir suspects Breivik was attracted to his party's anti-immigration reputation, but found them too moderate.
I probably thought that he would find people inside our Progress Party that would be agree with him or something like that, and he wrote in his manifesto he was disappointed.
The manifesto, titled 2083, a European Declaration of Independence, rails against such political inaction. My government and our media capitulated to Islam several years ago. Thousands of Muslims pouring in annually through our asylum institution or by family reunification. The situation is just chaotic. These suicidal traitors must be stopped. The author turns his temper on his family, on friends, cruelly discussing sexual diseases he claims they've had, cataloguing their failings. He also reveals why he rented a farm outside Oslo to plot undetected, a mission he describes in graphic detail. I have just completed the explosives research phase and have summarized several new chapters for the compendium. My rifle application came through, and I have now ordered an €800 silencer specifically created for automatic and semi-automatic rifles. Needless to say, this is an extremely vulnerable phase. In fact, it is the most vulnerable phase of them all. If I get through this phase without trouble, I will be very close to finalizing my operation.
The whole ugly episode is so devastating, Norwegians are only just beginning to grasp the enormity of it. Breivik's manifesto is like a second hammer blow. Too soon to fathom the implications of it. But already the question is being asked, how did he get away with it? Nick Robertson, CNN, Oslo, Norway.
Well, time now to take our second break. When we come back, we'll take a look at sports.
Kër goo xam ne dafa am 3 master bedroom.
Amat kër ga fan la nekk.
mu nga Diamond Estate nekk Old Yundum.
Déedéet kay.
ñaareeli pire bi xam nga lan la.
Déedéet.
oto bu ñoo wax seri Jeep 4x4. bu bees tàq. yaa koy daaji si mbuus. ñetteeli price gi.
waaw.
gars yi teg nañ juróomi ticket ab Angleterre.
déedéet
yoo xam ne boo amut visa wala bëgguloo dem Angleterre ñu yot la xaalis gi. ñeneenteeli price ñaari junne juróomi téeméer ab Angale ci ñaari téeméeri nit ñu gagné. juróomeeli price gi junneb saakob maale ñu jox ko junneb nit ku ne benn saakob maalo. génneel téeméer ab Angale rek jënd ticket gi. te xam nga lu ci gën a neexam. boo jëndee ticket gi.
waaw
ba pare.
waaw
fa ñam time yoo xam ne fa ñoo nekk si télé gi di def panel discussion nit ñi di woote gi nga boo wootee bañ la na allo.
waaw
gaañ
ne la allo rek.
salaaw.
ama Diamond Polo Patis. mooy bolom doore xamul ndam.
Welcome back, and we now take a look at sports. Dozens of basketball coaches are taking part in a training program on the rudiments of the game. The training, being facilitated by a veteran basketball player, is also discussing a host of health and social issues affecting young people. Farmer Fofana has more.
While young people may think that playing sports is just for fun, a physical activity is key to building healthy lives and to resolving problems before they happen. In fact, it is through sports that young people best receive messages that they might otherwise resist.
Being able to talk about diseases such as malaria, HIV and AIDS, sexually transmitted diseases, to be able to sensitize these young people on ways to be careful.
That is the real purpose of a sports seminar run by Pierre Jallo, a former professional player who teaches coaches how to improve their teaching skills and communication with young people.
Kids always are drawn to sports, so we want to use this forum to be able to talk about more important things.
But some youngsters also have a piece of advice for their coaches.
I would like to tell them to kind of commit to what they are doing, because basketball is a game that is so very enthusiastic, and it's a nice game that we all will dream of playing. So I would like to tell the coaches to still engage and develop on it.
For the president of the Gambia Basketball Association, the important thing is for Gambian basketball to find some of its former glory.
I can assure you that the Gambia Basketball Federation has more university graduates than any other sporting discipline in the country.
For many years, basketball was one of the country's top sports, but the game of late has had some hard times. Efforts are being made to revive the game through improved training for coaches, as well as increasing the number of scholarships for basketball players to study in American colleges. Pamara Fofana, GRT.
You can follow that story and all the GRTS programs live on our website at www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS radio live. And before we end the news, a recap of the top stories. The safety of non-conventional vessels plying the Gambia's territorial waters dominated proceedings at a forum held under the aegis of the Gambia Maritime Administration. Civil society organizations from across the sub-regional economic bloc ECOWAS are meeting to shore up community participation in the implementation of ECOWAS Community Development Program. World leaders have gathered in Rome, Italy to raise an estimated 300 million euros for 11 million people affected by drought.